Sports Management Group, or IUSM, is a leading India-based ISO 9001-2015 sports management company. Since its inception in 2007, we are working and contributing immensely for the development of the sports scenario within the country. We have come up with this webinar program, a first of its kind initiative in Indian football, because of the ongoing situation that we all are stranded in. Also, we are doing the soft launching of the Indian Football Business Awards now, and the award ceremony will take place in Kolkata in December 2020. Before we start this session, I would like to request our audience to kindly switch off their microphones at all times during this session. I would like to request the audience to kindly switch off their microphones at all times during the session, and also please do not select the present option. I would like to request our audience to kindly please keep your microphone switched off at all times during this session. Thank you so much. Well, meanwhile, as the meeting is being conducted, you may send in your questions for our guest speakers in the Google Meet chat box or our WhatsApp groups. We have Shoham and Shayan here with us, who will be jotting down your questions, and our guests will be answering them at the end during the audience interaction session. So without further ado, let us start today's webinar. The topic for the session is Youth Academy Business and Community Program. And to speak on this, we have with us two very special people. Of course, one of them is here with us, and the other one will be joining us very shortly. So we have with us Mr. Joseph Vaz and Mr. Arindam Biswas will be joining us very soon. They are the team behind the Rise and Rise of FC Madras. Mr. Arindam Biswas is the founder and head of youth development, FC Madras. He holds an MBA degree in finance, started out his career as a banker with IDBI Bank in 2004, and then he ventured out to start the Football Academy in 2006. Mr. Joseph Vaz, he's the CEO and director of FC Madras. He's an MBA in marketing. He was with Wipro for 5 years before joining Arindam sir in managing the academy from 2009. Arindam sir hails from Kalyani, West Bengal, and Joseph sir from Tuticorin in Tamil Nadu. They were both MBA batchmates back in 2002 to 2004. Together, they have made Madras FC one of the best youth academies in the country. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for accepting our invitation and agreeing to join us here. So why don't I bring our guests into the conversation? Sir, before I directly delve into today's topic, if you could give us a sneak peek into your inspiring journey thus far.
Yeah, I think you've already given a very detailed intro about both of us. And as you said, 2006 is when it all started. Arindam was like, he started as a banker who got bored of his job and suddenly had an enlightenment that, okay, we should start an academy. There's no football academy in Chennai. And at that point in time, there's not many academies in the whole of country. And Chennai not being a happening place for football, and he said there is a scope of football development, an academy for that area. And that's where he started with 2 children at first in 2006, and slowly he started developing into multiple centers. And I had joined around 2009 when I had left Wipro and joined along with him, because I've been following him for quite some time in terms of his passion towards the game and whatever he wanted to do with the development of football. And I thought probably that's a very good project. And 2009 when we joined, and then we started expanding into different centers. We added multiple centers in Chennai and added more children, more centers, more coaches, and that's how the journey started. And 2014, 2015 is when till then we have around, we were doing more of neighborhood programs. It's like more of grassroots training. Wherever we had access to grounds, we took the grounds and started training. 2014 and 15 is when the journey had taken a turn in terms of All India Football Federation starting the youth leagues, I-League for the academies, for the under 13s, under 6. They started with under 16s actually, because they had the under 17 World Cup in mind. And that's where we took a turn towards more of professional coaching from the grassroots coaching. And we wanted to have a team which participates in the competition, which is we were the only team from Tamil Nadu to participate in the first 2 years. And then slowly we had more teams participating in all over the country, which is which gave us a lot of objectivity in terms of how we want to take the club towards and what we want to go towards. And that's been our journey from 2014 onwards, where we wanted to get the team, develop a team which is like better than last year. And 2018 is when Girish came in, Girish Matrapudam from Freshworks. He's one of our kids, the kid who used to train with us, and he's one of the guy who has been supporting from long ago. And he was the one who set up the whole residential academy. So we started the full structure for the residential academy came in when Girish came in. And with this support, with the trust that he is brought in, we were able to establish a residential academy. And last 2 years, we have a residential academy along with the community developmental program running in Chennai. So this is all based out of Chennai. So that's how been the journey from 2006 to 2020, 14 years. Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir, for that intro about your journey. Well, we have Mr. Arindam Biswas here with us. Sir, if you can hear me, it would be great that before I start today's session, if you give us an introduction, give us a sneak peek to say into your journey thus far. Sir, your microphone has been switched off.
Yeah,
if you could,
Hi.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. Hello, sir.
Yeah. I'm Arindam. Good to see everybody here. Please continue with the discussion. I'll join you. I'll be here. I'll be here and I'll be along.
Okay, sir. So with your permission, if I can go ahead with the questions for Joseph, sir, and then eventually I'll be coming back with you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Well, sir, Mr. Joseph, if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sir, as I'm talking to you, the first question that comes to one's mind when we speak to you is, of course, how do youth academies generate revenue?
See, youth academies, we're looking at basically two primary revenues, which is like one is subscription-based revenue, where you charge a fee for the program that you offer to the children or to the youth, young players. That is one. The other one is funding from, let's say, CSR funding from the corporates or funding from an individual who's passionate about the game. So this is how the money comes into the system. I mean, primarily these are two ways of funding. I mean, either through a funding through a corporate or even the federations and associations doing some programs which actually helps some academies run, which is like organized by the federations, is something which is like far and few in the country. I mean, all over the world. Basically, youth academies, private run, which is running private, is like either runs on the subscription fees or some funding from the corporates. So these are two broad ways that we can generate revenue. Other than that, we have some sponsorship and branding, which are still event-based, which are not very continual in nature. But yeah, those are also the avenues to generate some revenues for the youth academies. We're looking at primarily subscription revenues and CSR fundings.
Well, sir, before I move on to the next question, a lot of the viewers have been texting us that there is maybe an issue with your voice. If you could please sort that out. I can hear you perfectly fine, but some are facing some problems.
Okay.
If you can maybe use a headphone or something.
Should I be a little louder? I think might be.
Yeah. If you're a bit louder, it helps. Okay. So, sir, moving on, do you think when a footballer signs a deal with a professional club that is at a senior level, money should trickle down to the academy which has shaped that footballer in his formative years?
Yeah, it is fair. It is fair enough that the money should trickle down to the academies, which is like played a major part in developing the player. I mean, it might be one academy or multiple academies which have shaped the player into what he is today. So it is only fair that the money trickles down to the academies. And it's not only for what the academies have done in the past, it will also help the academy develop future players as well. So this is like, we're looking at academies. Academies are like basically run, I mean, as I said, either through fees or through charity, which needs a support. It needs a support in terms of monetary support, in terms of sustenance. And the money that trickles from the top, from professional clubs, from players who make it out as bigger players, the professional players, it is only fair that it actually trickles down to the academies there. And it will help in the long run. It will only sustain the academies further, and it will only produce more future players in future. So it should. In short, the answer is should.
Well, sir, you and Arindam sir have formed FC Madras from scratch. So it's only fair to ask you that what are the key factors that one needs to consider while setting up an academy?
See, I'll tell you our story. I mean, when we started, there is no, I mean, we were thinking about, I think Arindam is the one who started it. He was thinking more on the lines of, there is a huge gap in terms of places for kids to play. And we were thinking about filling a gap where kids need a place to play. I mean, we're thinking about 2006 in Chennai, not many places where the kids can actually go out and play football. And so the primary objective back then was purely to provide a space, provide an infrastructure, provide a coach to the kid who wants to play, and that is how it started. And going as along the journey, we found that okay, there are plenty of other turns that we took. As I said, we started with the neighborhood program, which is like primarily into offering a coaching services, a training program for the children in the grassroots in the neighborhood. From there, we're looking at providing a best-in-class training program for the kids who are like talented. So we are like moving away from a grassroots program to a professional training program. If you look at factors, the primary factors which you have to take in consideration into, if I'm going to start an academy, setting an academy, I would say the primary factor will be your sustenance plan. How are you going to sustain the whole academy? The planning part is like, you should have a long-term vision. One is either you develop a player or you want to develop a team which is best in class in the country, a player which is like world-class player who's going to make a name for the country. That is one long-term vision. But again, as an academy, you should be focusing on your sustenance plan, because grassroots academy anywhere in the world, not only in India, anywhere in the world, sustenance is the main issue. And if you're able to sort it out, if you have a clear plan in terms of how I'm going to sustain for the next 1 year, next 2 years, next 5 years, next 10 years, I think the rest will fall in place. And other factors, as these are key components. You're looking at quality coaches, good quality coaching. You want to attract players, scout good players. The infrastructure, which is like you need a ground. Obviously you need a ground, and a very good curriculum which can drive from the bottom till the top. So all these are components which are like important to set up an academy. But if you ask me, the most important thing is like a sustenance plan and people. I would say, what we have seen through the years is like you need like-minded people to work with, and at every level. Be it coaches, be it the parents, the players, be it the infrastructure.
Sir, if you could please switch on your microphone. Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I don't know how it got switched
off.
So
only just 2 seconds. No issues with that. Just continue.
Okay, fine. Yeah. See, I'm looking at, primarily it's about people. What kind of people you work with? Like-minded people, passionate people at every level. I'm from a coach level, from a parent of the player, from the infrastructure, the guy who provides you the ground. Even the person who actually provides you the infrastructure, the ground owners, the venue partners, the people is crucial, as well as the funding people who were supporting in your cause. So people is one of the major factor. We got to build up a huge team. It's like game of football. You need a very good team to win the competition, win a match. You need a very good team to actually succeed in setting up an academy and sustaining for long. So people and sustenance plan are the two big factors that I see.
Well, sir, talking about sustenance, where do you particularly focus while nurturing the kids in your academy off the pitch?
See, on the pitch is something that we are very comfortable with. In terms of offering a good quality program, the coaches having a plan in terms of how do we need to train the boy to a particular level is fine. Off the pitch is where we don't have much of control. There are two issues here, two things. One is we're talking about a kid who comes from his home. He goes back home after training. He was more of a day scholar, where you don't have that much of a control over how he's going to spend time. So you can just focus on how he behaves in the pitch and what kind of morals, what kind of attitude he shows on the pitch, which will reflect on his day-to-day activities. So that is something that as a coach, as an academy, you have to insist on a certain level of a code of conduct, which will reflect in his life. I'm talking about a day scholar. We also have children who live with us. Who are residential academy. There are kids, 50 odd kids who stay with us. That is something that very exciting for us, because we tend to spend more time on their attitude, their education. And in terms of education, we're looking at even providing an education which is like, a wholesome education. We're not looking at only schooling where we teach them math or English or science and all that. We're looking about how do they engage with the outside? How do they actually go on to the outer world and then behave? We're also talking about what if, the percentage of success in a football field, right? The amount of percentage, from the bottom to the top, you're looking at every year, you're looking at a percentage, 10%, 20% of kids moving out of the game. And you should prepare them for the failure as well. Even if the kid was a very bright kid, a talented kid, is not able to make it the highest level when he becomes a professional player, he should be able to he should be able to live a life of his own. And that is something that we are focusing on with the kids in the residential academy. We want to, when they move out of the academy, when they should not just be a very good football player, but also a wholesome, all-round individual who can lead a life of his own. So that is something that, we were trying to do our best. Let's see. Let's hope that in years to come, we'll be able to achieve that.
Well, sir, moving on from your academy to some other initiatives that are happening in Indian football as of now, we're seeing that many companies are collaborating with schools and setting up football schools. To what extent do you think this model is going to improve the standard of Indian football?
See, there are a lot of models currently with the schools. There are plenty of advantages which come along with the model when you integrate with the school, because you have the children already. The children are already there in the school. All you have to do is just provide a good quality coach, and you can actually run a program there. And that's the whole logic behind being a school-based program, a football school which is based out of a school. It is like, if you're looking at a school tie-up, with a school tie-up, it's easy because the children are already there. And if you're looking at a player which is who's going to be outside the school, you're looking at developing a neighborhood program which is catering to the neighborhood. And I would say the more children play, it's better for the game. As long as whatever model you follow, whether it's a school model or a model, a residential school model, or a non-residential program, or a neighborhood program, or a community program, the more you play, the more children play, the more the sport, the better it is. And the thing which comes in terms of school model is the sustainability. As I said earlier, it gives a lot of support in terms of sustenance. And it is also a revenue generating model for the school as well. So it is a sustainable model. So since the model is sustainable, there are plenty of other people, other schools, there are a lot of academies tying up with the schools and then offering a program like that. So I would say the more it is, the more kids they play, it's better.
Well, sir, before I move on to the next set of questions, we would like to remind our audience to keep sending in their questions for our guest in the Google Meet chat box or our WhatsApp groups. And please keep your microphones switched off at all times. And as I am continuing this meeting, I can see that a lot of new people have joined us along the way. I would like to welcome all of you to Indian Football Business, a growing industry, brought to you by Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group. Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group, or IUSM, is a leading India-based ISO 9001-2015 sports management company. Since its inception in 2007, we are working and contributing immensely for the development of the sports scenario within the country. We have come up with this webinar program, a first of its kind initiative in Indian football, because of the ongoing situation that we all are in. Also, we are doing the soft launching of the Indian Football Business Awards now, and the awards ceremony will take place at Kolkata in December 2020. If any of you want any other info about our company, you can go to www.ideasports.com. And if you want any information on the Indian Football Business Awards, you can go to indianfootballbusinessawards.com. And also, if you want to watch or rewatch any of our webinars from this series, you may go to Pink TV India channel on YouTube. So moving on. Well, it's been quite some time now that FC Madras has come into the fore. How do you think that you people are changing the football culture, not just in Chennai, but the entire region?
See, we've been trying it. I don't think that we have already done a great deal in changing the culture altogether. We are looking at two things. One is, how do we engage children through the year? We are not looking at 1 month program or a short stint program. We want to develop a footballing culture which runs throughout the year. It's like you go to Brazil, you go to Europe, where children play throughout the year. We want to develop a program which is like running through the year. It's like it's like part and parcel of their life. and we want to start as early as 5-year-olds. So we want children from 5-year-olds till 17 play football as part of their regular schedule. And how do we build a curriculum? How do we build an ecosystem in such a way that it is sustainable? At the same time, the kid gets to train with a good quality coach, as well as play match every week. That is something that we wanted to have that's something that we have succeeded in the last couple of years, where we were able to offer, at least for every kid who's in the academy, we were able to offer them at least a match every week. So we're looking at a kid playing a match, a competitive game, whether it's a 5-a-side game or a 4-a-side game or a 7-a-side game. Every kid in the academy plays a game over a weekend, and he trains a couple of sessions or 3 sessions in the week. And at the end of the week, Saturday or a Sunday, they get to play a match. And that is something that we are trying to bring in. And we're already seeing a lot of fruits in that program, which will, if at all we're able to continue for the next 5 years, 6 years, we will be able to produce players right from the grassroots. We're looking at 6-year-olds. We can even look at 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds doing things that we have never seen. We've never seen kids like that do before in the academy, even 5-6 years ago. And all that we have done is give them more games, give them more matches, and even if it's an internal match or an external match with other academies or all that, we give them a match every week. And as I said, the game is the best teacher, and they learn from the game. And the more matches they play, the more they learn. And that's something that I would suggest, I would think that that's one of our success stories in terms of the last 2 years, where every kid is able to play more matches. So yeah, footballing culture, if you're talking about, yeah, that's the culture. Match culture. We need more matches. We need more matches to develop the game.
Well, sir, moving on, talking about matches, we all know that Madras FC are getting great results. Now, what are you doing in order to ensure community participation?
Yeah, results. I think results you're talking about the matches in the I-League and all where the residential team and other teams play, and that is only one part of the academy. We're looking at 50 children who train for that. The competition I-League, we are around 50 children in the academy, the residential academy playing there. We are also looking at another 1,000 children. We have around 20 centers across Chennai, where we have around 1,000 children. We have around 50 coaches who train them through the year, and we want to double this every year. We want to see the number of children going up, in terms of from the community, from the neighborhood, from every part of Chennai. And since we are based in Chennai, we're looking at, there are places where in Chennai, there are places where we're not there. We're looking at getting a ground there and training, establishing a training center over there, and then develop and get more children from that area. And over a period, if we're able to do that, more number of children if we're able to do, we will be able to pick up talents from our own, from these academies, from these children itself. And as I said, 1,000 kids through the year for a population like Chennai is still a minuscule. It's too small a number. We should be able to cater to more and more number of children to get involved in the program. Last year, we had started a program for the girls specifically. Till 1 year ago, we had girls playing along with the boys. We're trying to do a community program for the girls, where in 2 age groups, we're trying to identify girls, talented ones from all across the city, and then trying a girls program as well. And we're also in talks with some NGOs, some corporates who are willing to support us with some CSR funding, where we can actually do some community programs for government schools and corporation schools as well. So we are trying to extend that reach as much as possible. As I said, the higher the reach, the more number of children that we were able to train, the more number of children are able to play, it's good. It is good.
Well, sir, moving on, we all know that you look after mainly the management part of your club, as far as the management part of your club is concerned. Now, what would be your suggestions to several people who want to start academies for the future, but have very little investment at their disposal?
Yeah, see, if you ask me, we started with no investment. There is no investment in terms of money. There is a lot of, Arindam, when he started, there are a lot of debts he had in terms of borrowings and all that to sustain his living for a while. But in terms of, if you look at grassroots academies, you're looking at primarily the major investment is your time. The major investment that you're talking about is the time. More than the money, you're looking at investing a lot of your time. Unless you spend a lot of your time, I'm looking at, because I can see the change in the way we have been training in the past decade and now. We used to have a lot of coaches who used to come and train with us as part-time coaches. We had a lot of employees. A lot of our coaches are like, most of our coaches are like who used to work in the mornings in a company, and then in the evenings they come and train with the boys. And where we had a bottleneck is in terms of how much time they're able to spend on coaching, in terms of how much time they're able to prepare the session, in terms of how much time they can actually spend. I mean, that's where the time is the biggest investment that you're looking at. And even if you have a a little bit of a savings in terms of money, I would still suggest for setting an academy, for starting one center, all you need is a ground, and you need a coach, one or two coaches to start with. And if you have enough investment for that, you go ahead with that and start it, and you keep rolling it. I mean, you keep rolling it. That's how we started it. And since it's not something where you have to invest a huge amount of money in buying a land or leasing a land and such, we are looking at, we've actually started with renting a ground. It's like purely, we pay on a monthly basis to the ground to get access to the ground and take a ground, and then it's just rotation. It's just rotation in terms of not much of a investment in terms of money. But as I said, predominantly the investment has been our time. I mean, time. And unless you're willing to spend that much time, put in all your effort, I mean, full time into that, it is very, very hard to be successful in this industry. I mean, in terms of coaching, the more time you spend on the field, off the field, in preparing for the session, it's going to be difficult to succeed. So I would say money is not a big issue in starting up an academy. The time is an issue. If you have more time, I think you should start, even with less money.
Well, sir, what is your take on the trend of academies being set up to fed players into their local or sister clubs rather than focusing on contributing to provide players for the national team?
See, again, it boils down to the sustenance of the clubs. See, there are small-time academies, there are small academies who are trying to build a player, and let's say there is one player who's coming out of the academy. He still needs a team to play with. And let's say if you're not able to provide a competitive team for the player to play with, it is time for the player to move on. I mean, he has to move on either to a bigger club, to a bigger academy, or to the national level. So depending on wherever he's able to fit in. And I don't think any academy or any club will be like trying to limit the path or block a path of a player who can do much better and then choose a different club or an academy as such. It is primarily in terms of, I mean, the reach of the academy, and then where can I place the boy? Where can I place the player? And as long as the player is, getting a team to play with, to train with, to compete with, that's good enough. And whether it's a sister club or a neighborhood local club or a national level I-League club, yeah, it's about the fit. It's about the fit and the reach of the academy.
Well, sir, this is the last question that I would be asking you in this session. And after that, I would be bringing in Arindam, sir, after which we will have our audience interaction session with both of you answering the audience questions. And finally, I will come back to close the session. So going into this last question, sir, if you could please tell our audience something about FC Madras's association with Freshworks.
Yeah, Freshworks, as I said earlier, I mean, when we were actually trying to get into I-League training, to setting up a residential academy and getting it more professional, and we were looking at a huge funding. We were looking at a huge funding, huge investment in terms of setting up an academy. Setting an academy where a hostel, with the ground, with the infrastructure, with the transportation for these children, education for the children and all that. So we're looking at a huge, which is something which is way beyond our capability in terms of our resources. And that's where Girish Matrabudam from Freshworks who came in. And he was, I mean, it's not that he came in 2018. We've been in touch from last 5 years. I mean, 2013 when his kids used to train with us. So we used to interact a lot in terms of how we take it forward and such. And 2018 is when we were playing in I-League, and in a couple of meetings we discussed with him, and then he stepped in and said, we had a small makeshift residential program, which is like we had around 5 or 6 children in the academy who were like picked up from all over Tamil Nadu, and we had a small room in a place in Chennai, and we were running a residential program with 6, 7 children. And when he came in and said, well, you need you need 11 players minimum to field a team, and you have 6 children in the academy. And let us do. I will. That's when he came in and said that whatever you require to set up an academy, whatever is required, ground, hostel, quality nutrition, schooling, and everything that is required to set up a proper residential academy. He said he will come and pitch in, and that's when he came in. And the passion that he has in is like he has a lot of passion for the game. He's a big Chelsea fan, and he has. The same thing. Since he has a lot of drive and passion towards the game, he wanted to do something in football, especially in youth football. And his primary grouse was like, for a country of so many 140 crores, we still yet to produce a quality world-class player who has excelled in the world at the world level, world stage. And why not be produced? If you're able to produce cricket players, we're able to produce world-class players in other disciplines. Why not in football? And that's the whole passion that he came in with. And when we joined in, it was like he was the one who established the FC Madras Trust, which takes care of the whole residential academy's operations, from the ground, from the scouting the children from all over the country, getting quality coaches, getting the transportation, nutrition, schools, open schooling. Everything is supported by Girish Matrabuda. And so that's how it started, and that's how it's been going on for now.
Well, sir, we would like to wish you all the best for your future, hoping that FC Madras will reach new heights. I would now request Mr. Arindam Biswas to join us. Sir, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so sir, before I go into our session, we would like to thank our audience for sending in their questions for our guests. If you have sent in your questions for Mr. Vaz and want to have something specific to ask Mr. Arindam, you can do that now. We would like to welcome all the new people that have joined us over the course of this webinar. I would like to welcome you to Indian Football Business, a growing industry, brought to you by Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group. Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group, or IUSM, is a ISO 9001-2015 sports management company. Since its inception in 2007, we are working and contributing immensely for the development of the sports scenario within the country. We have come up with this webinar, a first of its kind initiative in Indian football, because of the ongoing situation that we all are in. Also, we are doing the soft launching of the Indian Football Business Awards now, and the award ceremony will take place at Kolkata in December 2020. If you want any other info about our company, you can go to www.ideasports.com. And if you want any information on the Indian Football Business Awards, you can go to indianfootballbusinessawards.com. Also, if you want to watch any of our webinars or rewatch them, you may go to Pink TV India on YouTube. Arindam sir, before I go into the questions with you, I would request Mr. Vaz, sir, if you could please switch off your microphone. Yeah. Thank you so much about that, sir. We do not want any audio hindrance, actually. I hope you don't mind. Mr. Biswas, I would like to ask you now that before I go into asking you questions that are concentrating directly on today's topic, if you could tell us something about your journey so far.
Yeah, I'm sure Joseph would have said that we started small. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfectly.
We started small with one center, and we had been lucky enough to receive support from time to time over the period of last 12 years, 14 years. So yeah, it was not that we had planned everything in advance. It was more of improvisation at every step. So we had been lucky. We had been really lucky to have found the right people at the right time and the right resources. And we had the freedom to do however we felt that will be ideal for building up the facilities for the children.
Well, sir, now going into the questions that directly concentrate on our topic today. Do you believe that studying and training in a multicultural training academy where the pupils will get education along with football training allows for a greater expressiveness and can aid personal development?
Well, multicultural environment, when you talk about, if it is a team where children are coming from different parts of the country, yes, it becomes multicultural. But that per se is, it is a constraint to build such a system. It needs lots of money for you to bring in those children and keep them in your place. When we go out for scouting, yes, right now we have the resources. But as Joseph suggested, that when we were in 2015 trying to build an academy, we had 6 kids in a residential program. Now, as I said, we were very lucky. We were very lucky to find people who were able to help us. But getting that kind of a system in place, it is difficult in terms of funding. It is difficult in terms of people who can manage children. It is mostly about people understanding others and trying to handle the children in a way which can aid their development. When it comes to studying alongside football, again, the issue here is, what is that we want them to get educated with? Is it that we want them to, do the school education, that is, read science, maths, social science, and then pass the class 10th examination, irrespective of whether they're learning or not? Or is it that we would want to bring in a change in the way they think about it and learn itself? For example, for us, the challenge is when we are bringing children from different parts of the country, they study in a different medium of language. Somebody studies in a Bengali medium, somebody studies in Malayalam medium. And now when it comes to Chennai, it is not practically possible for me right now to bring in faculty to handle those mediums. So we go for a single English medium. Now for English medium, we have to educate everybody, or we have to help everybody to read and write English. Now that is one part. Second part is, when you have children coming in from different parts, their level of education is decided based on the classes they are in. For example, somebody comes at a class 6 or somebody comes at a class 7. But if you really come, after they come here, when you really assess them, you will come to know that they are actually not at the level of class 6, primarily because the environment that they were in was not, was a weak system, which we have in a country where schools and are not able to get the children to learn by themselves. Rather, it is more of passing the examinations. So you are trying to read a part of your class, content, whether it's a 7 or 6, and then you are passed to the next class. That means you have already missed half of or more than half of the content. So when you are assessed, you are actually short on those parts. So effectively, a class 5 kid or class 8 kid, when they come here, they are started from class 5 or 6 or 7 based on whatever level they are at. There are some children who are very bright. There are some children who need help. Now, to manage the education system here, if I have to go by the system of same, class 6, 7, 8 school education, or a CBSE, or a different board, it doesn't work. Now, that is where the education has to happen with the parents. When they come in and see FC Madras as a place where there is no school, they feel that, oh my God, this is not of good quality. What they need to see, not only for our academy, for every academy, is whether the child is learning something by staying here or not. And that learning need not be only school education. If the child is learning on his own to, use the computer, that's education, isn't it? So our focus primarily is bringing an environment for the child to learn by himself, give him the content, support him with the faculty, and give him the chances to play football, to become to progress towards becoming a professional one.
Well, that was a very informative answer, sir. Now, we all know that you're the head of youth development for FC Madras. In that regard, sir, if we talk about the basic approach to football academy coaching in India compared to that of, Europe or South America, what do you think are the main differences?
See, it's extremely difficult question to answer, because if I had known the main differences, I would be already solving the problem of us not playing at the top level, isn't it? So we can only make guesses. It's a guess for me, because what I have read about, or what I have seen in, about European football, the top tier looks very, very, shining. It is like that. We talk about only EPL, we talk about only La Liga. So that is like a different world altogether. And even for the people who are living in that country, it is like a far-fetched idea to get into that kind of a system. So it is not that if we train good or we change system, we will be at the EPL level. No, even for that country to come, that level is stratosphere kind of a level. It's like too high. If you look at the basic grassroots system, and you talk about an academy in Spain or in England and India, you will not see much of a difference in terms of the, coaching philosophies right now, being, an era where information, flows very easily. You have the internet, you have content being transferred easily. So in terms of knowledge, I don't see at the grassroots level we have much of a difference. The difference is in the transition of a player from grassroots to, taking up seriously football. And that is where the West excels, because they have the platforms. Right now, here, we don't have the platforms. How many FC Madrasas are there, or how many say Minervas are there, how many Reliances are there in the country of 140 crore? So we lack those systems for children to think about taking the transition. If you look at the grassroots, not much of a difference. But if you look at the step up towards the say structure to become professional, there's a huge gap. That's how I look at it.
Well, sir, in your experience, do you think that there is sufficient focus on player welfare in India, especially at youth level? And is there any kind of support network to help those who are not able to find their feet?
No, we are zero at that. We are like in the stone age of that. So there's no way we can think about it because we have like other problems to solve. If it's an academy, for the academy, the primary thing to solve is where do I get the ground, where do I get the coach? Player welfare is not in the list.
So
I mean, even if it's in the list, it will be only for the exceptional ones who are like having the time and time and resources to manage that. Otherwise, for a layman or like say basic academies, that is the last thing that we can think of.
well, sir, what needs to be done according to you?
We need structured events which will be the target or motivation for the academies to go and play in. Those structured events need the support of experts, and how those experts will be coming in is the challenge. Once the events are in place, we will have to see how do we structure the training systems or the methods in terms of say AIF. If you look at that, they started something called as the Youth League. Started 3 years back. No, not 3 years back, 5 years back, 2015. Now that's a good start. Now imagine we are starting that in 2015. Now, yeah, we are late, isn't it? And if you look at the number of competitions we have in the country for elite level players, for under 15 player, it's one. And the second competition will be the state level competition, which is at places it's happening, at places it's not happening. So what is the chance for a player? Let's say I want to set up a football academy. Where should I go and play right now? The competitions are something which is completely dependent on private enterprise. So yeah, that's what we need. It's the starting point. Start the events, get the teams to organize themselves better, and we'll be say on the way forward.
Well, so a lot of academies in India are focusing on strategic partnerships with foreign-based football clubs. What is this idea behind it? And do you think that it is feasible in the long run?
It is say for the people who have the connect. I mean, I'm giving you two examples. For example, I know somebody in England or say Spain who I had met on some occasion. I can talk about a partnership. Probably he will lead me to somebody else, but we still are not sure what are the deliverables. What will they deliver? What will we deliver? For us to deliver anything, we will need to have the funds, isn't it? So now the question is how many of us are having that kind of a fund to splash on a foreign partnership? Leave out Reliance, and you can count the numbers on the fingertips. Probably you'll have zero. So if you ask me if FC Madras today can afford a foreign alliance, no, we cannot afford because, I mean, I'm trying to manage my basic operations here. And the other part here is, let's say I am thinking strategically that I will go out and get a partnership. That means I'm talking about somebody representing FC Madras going out and hunting out the right kind of a club and then getting into a partnership with them. For that also, again, it comes to the same question. What are the deliverables? What will they gain from us and what will we gain from them? Apart from visiting their place and they visiting our place, I don't see anything else that we can work on. Let's say we are talking about the coach education part. Yes, again, there's a cost involved, isn't it? So if I have the might, I can send all my 50 coaches to a foreign location for getting educated. That's amazing. Or I can get a coach from a European country, bring him here and get the education for my coaches done. Now, it is again based on individual clubs' preferences. If I feel that I don't have that kind of a system to help the my coaches, then I go out to look out for somebody that could be Europe, that could be Delhi, that could be Calcutta, anywhere. So I don't see the foreign partnerships as such bringing in any superior value. I feel it is like we are still at a very early stage of nurturing ourselves, and that is probably a few enthusiastic ones who are going to go and get this partnerships done. But yeah, it's a process. I mean, right now, if you ask me personally, I'm not getting into it.
Well, sir, talking about scouting, Madras FC has one of the best scouting systems in India as of now. At least that's what is being reported. What are the parameters that you as head of youth development would keep in mind?
All right. Now, yeah, thanks that you say that we have the best scouting practices. Yeah, I do not know actually we have the best or not, because right now we follow the same methods as everybody else. Now we are trying to change it, but basically here the system in the country is, as everybody knows, we go out to a place and we call for trials, which we feel is not that productive, because one, seeing so many children at one point of time is a difficult task, and secondly, we are still not sure. We are all guessing, isn't it? I mean, nobody can say put their finger on a boy and say that this boy is going to become an amazing player. Given our experience, the biggest challenge that we have right now is uh, not what the kid shows when he has come for the trial, but rather how the kid steps up to the learning when he's in the academy. And imagine, for me to take a judgment by seeing a player is very difficult. Yes, I mean, we can do this very easy talent, say, spotting job. We can go to a ground and say that, wow, this player is great. But how will he develop over the next 1 year, 2 year when he stays with us is the biggest challenge. So primarily what we are looking at right now is extending the trial period as much as possible. So if need be, we want to see the boy for 1 year. So right now, we are definitely seeing a boy more than one time, more than two times, trying to see them for a month. If we are very sure about the kids, subjective assessment, then we give him an offer. Or we wait. And right now we are getting into a system where probably we'll be having a dedicated scouting network, which will throughout the year in hunting the players.
Well, sir, before I move in to the audience interaction part, I have two very quick questions for you. You know very well that Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group has organized this webinar. So how was your experience of this webinar and of our company in general?
It's very good. It's professional. So I see that you are doing a very good job. I said the connection has not been cut till now, so that's nice. So Google Meet is working quite okay. Yeah, it's good. It's an amazing initiative. I had known Sanjay for quite some time. So yeah, we are the well-wishers of FC Ideas, and I'm sure that they also feel the same way. So it's been amazing.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words, sir. Sir, I would also like to ask you about the Indian Football Business Awards. As you might be knowing, that the Indian Football Business Awards will be held in December 2020, and we are doing the soft launching of the program as of now. It's a platform where we would be felicitating and awarding not just the people that we know in the football fraternity, but some of the people that mainly work behind the scenes. So, what are your views on that, sir?
Amazing. Great work. It'll be nice to have people getting awards on sports stuff, football. That's good.
Well, sir, I would also take this opportunity to invite you for this Indian Football Business Awards. We would surely be sending you an official invitation, but the invitation has been sent forward to you from my side as of now. So it would be a really great pleasure to have you there.
We'll be there. Thank you. We'll be there.
So I would now like to move into our audience interaction session. I would request Mr. Joseph Vas to rejoin us and Arindam sir to be here with us. Shoham will be taking forward from now. He will be conducting the audience interaction session with both Mr. Vas and Mr. Arindam. And as the audience interaction session is over, I would be coming back to rejoin all of you and close this session. So Soham, if you could please take it over from here.
Thank you so much, Indranil. Hello. Hello, Joseph sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm sure you're having a great time answering all the questions, as we and the viewers are having a great time listening to both of you.
Yeah.
So we received a lot of questions, over 20 questions we received in our inbox. So we know your time is precious. So we have chalked down only the best questions. I'll start off with you, then I'll gradually move to Arindam sir, who will also be online. So the first question is from Jibu Gibson. He says, how can an academy pitch for CSR funding as per your experience?
How can academy fund go for CSR funding?
CSR funding. From your experience, how can an academy go for CSR funding?
Okay. Yeah. See, CSR funding. One is, technically, you have to be a trust or or an organization which has been in existence for 3 years, who is eligible to get the funding from the CSR company, the companies who's offering the CSR. That is one part. if you're asking us our experience, I mean, we have still not gone to that extent in terms of attracting CSR funding to the system right now. Currently, we have our own trust, which actually is formed a year ago, I mean, 1 year ago, where we are trying to get in touch with the companies for support. And yeah, if you're asking for our experience, yeah, we still have to get into that stage kind of a thing. So yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the answer. The next question is from Prashanjit Kundu. He says, please tell about how funds are available to running a very small academy which is based locally.
The funds, I mean, funds required for running a basic academy.
Yeah, which is like quite rural and all, not very metropolitan.
See, it depends. It depends on the area you're in. See, the major cost, if you ask an academy or any branch of an academy, for example, in Chennai, we are looking at a center or a training center. The major cost of the center is either the cost of the ground. One is the cost of the ground. The other is the cost of the coach. And let's say if you are the coach, if you are the same person who's going to coach on the field, then that cost is again, whatever you take out from there is going to be, remove that. And the cost of the ground is the other major cost. And equipments, the balls and other equipments. So if you're looking at a smaller city or an urban city or a metro, the cost will differ variably in terms of the cost of the ground. But basically the cost, these are the two major costs of any academy, which is like the running costs of the ground and the manpower. So that's the thing. And it will vary. It depends on the area he is in, and depends on how big the ground is. The cost will vary according to the ground, and how big the ground that you're going to access to. That will vary. And again, the cost of the coach again varies. Depends on the qualification of the coach, at what level the coach is going to come in, and yeah. So again, there is no direct answer there. But if you're looking at the two components of any academy, the major components of cost, it is the infrastructure, the ground, as well as the coach and the coach.
I'm sure Prasenjit has got his question answered. The next question will be for Arindam, sir, if you could please. So this is a question from Shaya Ghosh. He says, what is your opinion about implementing player performance analytics technology in grassroots academies?
Say it again.
It's a question from Shaya Ghosh. He says, what is your opinion about implementing player performance analytics technology in grassroots academies?
And the question is from?
From Shaya Ghosh.
Shayan, nice that you have asked the question. And see, when we talk about grassroots program, a few I would say that how you look at grassroots program and how I look at grassroots program will be determining the answer. Just a minute. Yeah. So, see, a grassroots program primarily is for the opportunity for a child to play. Now, if you are trying to give him analytical, feedback or use the analytics, I feel that it is overkill. That, for example, if the boy is run slow in the ground, there could be plenty of reasons. He's overweight or he's naturally slow or a lot of things. If you want to use analytics to find out why he's running slow, I see that it's an overkill for a grassroots player. You do that for a 16-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, makes sense. But grassroots analytics, it's like a mismatch.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question is from Karthik Khatri. He says, is it necessary for the academy to sign a contract with the player at a young age?
No, you have to understand the tricky part of contracts. You cannot sign a contract with any of the minors. Any kid who is below 18, contract does not make sense. So the contract idea is that you have had an understanding with the parents and the children that they will be playing with you. But what does it achieve? It only serves you as a paper which can be uploaded into CRS, which will give you legitimacy of keeping the player in your academy. So tomorrow the player wants to move, there will be a trail for the player that he has been transferred from one club to another. Let's say tomorrow the player wants to move and he's in breach of the contract. You still cannot do anything. So the contract is only a paper which is good for you to keep a trail that he had played with you and now he's going to another club. I'll tell you how it will be used at certain point of time. Right now, let's say you are developing a football player and he is taken by a bigger club. And that bigger club, again, is developing the player. That player is sold to another bigger club. And that is a transaction after he becomes 18. So the compensation system is that there will be a certain amount of money that will come down to your club. Now, you will have the legitimacy of that player being, having played in your club only when you have a trail, isn't it? And that trail can be established through the contract, through the CRS. So that's the only significance that you have of a contract right now. Is that okay?
Sir, your picture is not coming that great. Can you please move yourself to a little bit right? Yeah.
Yeah. Now is it okay?
Perfect, sir. Thank you so much. So the next question.
You got the answer?
Yeah, sir. Sure. Thank you so much for the answer. So the next question will be for Joseph, sir. And this is from Shiva Kumar. And he says that, is there any possibility of Madras FC's entry into I-League?
Yeah, that's the. I mean, we already play in the youth league of the I-League, under 13s, under 15s, and under 18s. Now, the idea is to develop the players from bottom up. So we are not looking at a top-down approach where we have a club already playing in the I-League and then developing players. We want to develop players from the bottom who will be able to play in the highest league, whichever league is in it. I mean, we're looking at currently the eldest kid that we have in the academy is 16 and 17. And we're looking at another 3 years, 4 years for him to be eligible to play in an I-League. And we're also trying to develop a team. When we have a team, we will be looking at participating in the I-League. So that's the long-term vision. Long-term vision is to play in the I-League senior division. But again, we are going bottom up. So it's from bottom-up approach, from the grassroots to the top.
Sure, sir. We wish you all the best for that. So the last question for you, Joseph, sir, was from Aditya Vijay Kumar. He says, sir, yesterday our Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs, Mr. Kiran Rijiju, in an online session with the football coaches and top brass officials of football in our country, mentioned that the state and district football associations should do more to popularize the game and organize more tournaments. Sir, as the owners and founders of FC Madras, did you receive any help from these associations, or did they help you in any way to popularize or spread the game in the city?
I didn't get the question fully, but I think that you're talking about some support or help from the sports ministry.
From the sports ministry and associations, state associations.
State association. See, currently our relationship is primarily with the All India Football Federation and the TFA, which is like Tamil Nadu Football Association. So the support, as I said, not in terms of a monetary and such, I mean, a monetary support kind of a thing. It is primarily by organizing a tournament. As I said, the whole academy's shift happened in 2014-15 when All India Football Federation had a tournament which is organized for the younger children, for the under 16, under 15. And that is something that has shaped our approach in terms of how we look at developing players, what do we develop players towards. So that is something that the federation has come up with a tournament which actually give us a lot of objectivity. So that kind of a support. Also, there is support in terms of coming from All India Football Federation in terms of baby leagues. We conduct baby leagues. We have some leagues which is conducted internally in Chennai, and there are some monetary support which is coming from All India Football Federation regarding that. So other than that, if you're looking at, it's like primarily there are plenty of officers from the AFF who've been in touch with us regularly, and we've been in touch with TFA in terms of whenever we require any support, we approach the TFA regarding that. So yeah, so that's about it right now.
Thank you so much, sir. I'd like to bring in Arindam, sir, for couple of last questions. So this is a question from Orko Sholkar. He says, parents or guardians play a vital role for young students. How do you think parents of these academy students can be motivated?
Parents of this academy children can be motivated so that they send more people into their academies. How can parents be motivated for their children to play football? Have been the parents, most of the parents who come for the neighborhood program, they are looking at a safe environment, a coach who can connect with their children, and the kid stays happy. So that is like 90% of the crowd who are sending the children to our academies. And if we keep that part intact, that is safety, connecting with the children, and facility closer to their house, that works out good. The word of mouth is good enough to get us more children in the academy. The other 10% probably are the ones who are looking at a performance issue. Now, this is where the education has to help. The performance will depend on the child's natural ability and the frequency of training and the quality of the training. So there will be a step up. So the moment we have a discussion with the parent who's looking at a performance issue, or wants to look at the child to go to the professional circuit, then we are talking about a different approach for that kid. So if you ask me about more children joining the academy, yeah, the purpose is either becoming professionals, or just the kid wants to play football as a hobby.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. For one last question, we have from Shahjahin Aminuddin, and he says how to track players' performance and how to bring more students in the academies.
It has to be interesting, isn't it? Now, why do you want to train unless you have a competition? So if you want to play in the evening, every evening, yeah, that is a product. You can just say that I will do training every evening and that's it, over. And the next step is I will train in every evening and I will also take you for a competition. Now we need competitions, isn't it? So as I said earlier too, the competitions are now the point, I mean, the mantra for us. If we are able to create more competition, make it more legitimate competitions, then there will be more children who will be getting excited about it. So we need events.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Joseph, sir. Thank you, Arindam, sir, for answering all the questions so patiently and graciously. Thank you so much. I would like to Indro to come in and take over the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shoham, for helping us out with that. And thanks to our wonderful viewers for their lovely questions. And thanks to both of our speakers here for answering that. Now, sir, before I let both of you go, I have 2 more questions for you to answer, if you could kindly bear with us.
Sure.
So I would first like to go to Joseph, sir. Sir, as we were talking about, you were saying that you look after the management part. You mainly look after the management part of, as far as FC Madras is concerned. So now we all know that we are in the clutches of this horrific pandemic, that is COVID-19. Now, as far as the budgetary part is concerned, the monetary sanctions are concerned, do you think that you will be facing a problem with that in the next few, say, months or maybe even 1 or 2 years?
Not, I mean, see, current scenario is going to affect everyone. I mean, it's not only us, academies or clubs, footballs, everywhere it's going to be affecting big time. Now, regarding our operations, as from March mid, it's like completely come to a standstill. And since we don't train anywhere, currently we are looking at the whole revenue system for the club, which is completely based on subscription. It has come to a standstill. It's like completely no, and we still don't know how long it's going to last. I mean, it's definitely going to be longer than what we think we could bear. And we are trying to survive in terms of how long we can actually make it, and probably improvise. I mean, we're also trying to improvise this depending on the scenario. As I said, as I was speaking, with our own children, we were trying to do some classes online. So there are some drills that they can do at home. They can probably engage themselves, keep themselves fit, physically active, with the ball, without the ball, and learn, read. So we are trying to, adapt ourselves to the situation to make, whatever we can with the children right now in this scenario, we're trying to make it. In terms of sustenance, it is going to be difficult. It is going to be difficult. It's already difficult, and it is going to be difficult in terms of how long do we survive in this kind of a scenario. But it's the same for every industry, and especially sports, being something which is not treated as an essential service, or it is not an essential essential goods or services. It will come at the last. I mean, I'm saying the day will be open for football classes, opening training sessions. It will come after the schools are open. And schools, when are the schools getting open? We don't know. We don't know when the schools are getting open. And only after that, we're looking at training being restarted. And there are some football clubs where revenue system is a thing. I mean, I think there are already talks about La Liga coming back to action, EPL coming back to action in closed doors. So that is something that is at the top level. At the grassroots level, it is going to be a long, painful run. It's going to be a long, painful run.
Well, sir, staying on the subject of COVID, I would like to move on now from Joseph sir to Arindam sir. Sir, if you could please tell us that due to this COVID-19 issue that we all are in, Now, do you think that you will face problems as far as scouting of players is concerned, as far as signing players for your residential academies or your non-residential academies are concerned in the next few months or maybe 1 or 2 years? I would request our audience to kindly be patient. Arindam sir he's back. Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Say, we already had finished our scouting for the next year. So we have the ready list of players who should be joining the academy the moment the say lockdown is over and the travel is safe. So our issue is, even if the lockdown is over, until the travel is safe, we will not be resuming operations. So once that effectively, I'm looking at AIFF also taking cognizance of the issue that travel would be an issue for everybody. So if the next year's competition is delayed, let's say October, it is usually supposed to start, which starts again usually by December, January. So if let's say next year there's no competition, we will have to see whether we will sign the players apart from what we have committed to right now. So the players we have signed or committed to right now, we will take them in. Even if there's no competition, we will keep them in the academy. And the next year scouting, probably we will skip or keep an eye on the players, but not sign anybody until AIFF comes with a clear directive as when will the competition resume.
Well, sir, I would now like to move on to Joseph, sir. Sir, finally asking you, how was your experience of this webinar program and of Ideas Unlimited Sports Management Group in general?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I mean, it's a very good session in terms of, I'd be more than happy to actually share our experiences and whatever limited experience that we have in terms of running a business, in terms of running a training academy. It's been a pleasure to interact with you guys as well as the other participants as well.
Well, sir, you know about the Indian Football Business Awards that will be held in December 2020. If you could please share your views on that as well.
That's a very good initiative. It's a very good initiative that you've done that. I think there are a lot of awards that you've allocated for women entrepreneurs, women participants who are also trying to do something in football, which is like a major thing. Like currently we're focusing more on women's football, girls football, and all that. It's a very, very good initiative that you've taken there, and I wish you all the best in terms of organizing that amidst all this COVID-19 situation. I think you planned it somewhere in December. I hope it happens on time, on schedule, and more and more such awards should happen to motivate motivate everyone in the system. That's how it's going to run there.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. So with that, we have come to the end of our penultimate session today. I once again take this opportunity to thank our esteemed guests, Mr. Biswas and Mr. Vaz. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. It was a pleasure talking to both of you. Thank you so much for your time. A big thank you to all our viewers. We will be back tomorrow from 5 p.m. for our last session. The topic for discussion would be strategic management in football organizations. Mr. Ankan Banerjee, Academic Relations Head, Sports Management, ISWBM, will be our guest speaker. Till then, take care and stay safe, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.